Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of my top 3 in every makeup category. I've already done the drugstore version of this video, but today I'll be doing the high-end version. So I'll be doing all of my top 3, foundations, concealers, yada yada yada. This has been a very popular video here on the beauty community side of YouTube recently, and so I thought I'd give it a shot, and it's been lots of fun choosing and picking what my favorite products are from each category. Most of the time I do keep it to 3 products, but some of the time I only have like 1 or 2 that are a true favorite in each category, so I don't add in a third one just for the sake of it. Sometimes I do go over. I try not to, but sometimes I do chuck in a cheeky 4th product. But yeah, I'll show you my favorite products and we'll get straight into it. I might break this video up into 2 parts because when I did the drugstore version, it was a very long video, so I chucked it up in 2 parts. So if you see part 1 in the description box in the bio down below, or if this title of this video has a part 1 in it, means part 2 will be uploaded immediately after. So don't worry, part 2 is already live. If this is up in 2 parts, you can go check out the second half after this part of the video. So I'm going to be going in order and I'll be reading off this little piece of paper. I've written down everything and I don't have all these products with me. So I will be chucking up pictures of some of these products because I don't currently have all these products. That might mean I don't. I've panned it or I've never owned it, but I've tried it as a sample. But these are all things that I know would be in the categories regardless. So foundation, my top 3 high-end foundations. Actually, I should go with primer first. Sorry, I'm already getting out of order. My top 3 primers would be number 1, the MAC Strobe Cream. Now, I know that this can be a multi-purpose product. Like, you can use this as a cheek product. You can use this all over the face. You could use this not as a primer, but just like as the only thing on your face, just to give like a glint and a sheen. But I do really like this as a primer. I feel like it does give a nice like moisture to the skin and a nice sheen as a base. I don't feel like it adds a lot of length to the wear of your makeup, but I do think it is a really beautiful product and I like the scent. It's fresh, kind of cucumbery, and it comes in a range of shades now. I remember when I first started getting into makeup, there was only 1 shade of strobe cream, and now there's like 5 maybe. There's so many different shades. Peach Light, Gold Light. I feel like those are like the different shade names. But yeah, I'm a big fan of strobe cream. I think it's a very versatile multi-use product. You could use it on the eyes, lips, face, and I'm into it. So I wanted to give that one a special mention in the primer category. The next primer I have to mention is from Benefit, and it is the POREfessional range. I really like the original POREfessional primer. I know it's not for everyone because it has that strong like silicone-y texture, but I really think it's really flattering and gives a smoothing effect, particularly around the more porous areas of the face. Something I also like from the Benefit POREfessional range is like there's this pore removing primer, blotting primer stuff. I'll put a picture of it up on screen, and using that product, I have a little mini sample of that, and when you use that on like the center of your face when you're oily through the day, it really does a magical job at removing. It just erases any like texture or any shininess. It's just such an amazing magical erasing kind of product, and I'm really into it. So that's also good as a like priming base as well, but I typically use that over the top of product, and it mixes really well with existing products, and it's just such a cool product. So definitely big shout out to the Benefit POREfessional range. I haven't actually tried the dewy version of the POREfessional, the one that comes in the pink packaging. I just haven't had a sample of it before and haven't given it a go, but I am interested in it. I think it looks really cool. Anyway, the last primer that I have to mention today in my top 3 high-end favorites is the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. This is a more hydrating primer. It's kind of like a moisturizing primer. You could just wear this as a moisturizer and I think it'd be quite nice. I don't know about huge skincare benefits, but I do think it is a nice base. I don't really think it's the most longest wearing priming base, if that makes sense. It will probably extend the wear of your makeup, but it's not like a long wear kind of primer. It's more of a dewy, hydrating kind of primer, and it makes your skin feel really good and fresh before you start your makeup. I also love the scent of this one. It smells like coconut holiday freshness, and I think it smells really nice. It's like a coconut smoothie in the morning kind of vibes. I'm really into that primer, and I think it's got a nice, smooth, thin consistency. Layers really well under foundation, which is the next category. So my favorite foundation of all time that's from the high-end category, I have 2, and one of them goes into like a branch off into 2. So I'll start off with this one first. This first one that I'm going to mention is the very famous Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, the original. I know that they have a lot of variations that have come out on that foundation, but I do think the original Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk is famous for a reason. Even there's just like the description name, Luminous Silk. Like that just sounds like something I would like my skin to be. I would like my skin to be luminous. I would like it to be smooth like silk. And Luminous Silk Foundation is very long lasting. It's very, I feel like it's high coverage. coverage. It's probably like, you could probably sheer it out to like more medium buildable kind of coverage, but I feel like it gives me quite a nice looking face. I'm really into it, and the shade 5 from that range suits my winter skin tone so perfectly. It's literally like my skin. It's probably one of the best matches I've ever had in a foundation range, and I'm just overall very, very impressed with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. The reason I don't have a lot of these high-end face-based kind of products with me at the moment is because I go through a lot of foundation. If you watch my empties videos, I probably go through like, you know, there's multiple empties of foundations in those videos. And so if I was going through high-end foundations at the rate that I go through my drugstore foundations, I would be spending a lot of money. So I try and stick to like, you know, more affordable foundations like from Rimmel, Bourjois, L'Oreal, Maybelline, those kind of more affordable brands. But it doesn't mean that I haven't tried high-end foundations. It just means it's not as sustainable for me to constantly have high-end foundations in my collection, because at the rate that I use up foundation, it would not suit my pockets. The other foundation that I'm into that is high-end is the Too Faced Born This Way range. The original and the matte are both on this list, so that is my top 3. The Luminous Silk, the matte Born This Way foundation, and the original Born This Way foundation. Obviously, the original Born This Way foundation is very famous for a reason. It's super popular because it is so good. I really think it is probably one of the best probably one of the best high-end foundations ever. If I had the budget to always wear that foundation, I would get that and the Luminous Silk and just be bougie and wear those all the time. Unfortunately, I can't afford to live like that, but it's a really gorgeous foundation. I feel like it has a pretty decent shade range. Like, you know, some of my paler friends who struggle to find a shade match in foundation have found good shade matches in that Too Faced range, and I know that they all rave about it, and I found shade matches in the Too Faced range that suit my skin tone as well. I just feel like it's a really good everyday foundation. It's kind of got like a more satiny skin-like finish. It's not too dewy, it's not too matte, it's just good, and it has decent like full coverage. It's probably like more medium to full coverage. Like, you could probably sheer it out to a more medium coverage, but I like a full bead. Anyway, the matte version of the Too Faced foundation is also definitely a fave as well. I feel like it might be a little bit more long lasting, a little bit more high coverage, which is to be expected from a more matte version of a formula. And again, I'm really into the Born This Way kind of range. Okay, I'm going to go into concealer now. So my favorite concealer that is high end, I'm going to have 3 favorites, but the thing is, none of these I've got 3 favorites to talk about that I would choose if I was to buy 3 high-end concealers, but I really don't think you need to buy high-end concealer. I think that drugstore concealers I would choose over these concealers just because it's more worth it. But I do have 3 to mention that I do think are really nice from the high-end brands. The first one is MAC Pro Longwear. If you knew me in high school, I was a MAC Pro Longwear fiend. I was obsessed with the coverage because I had acne and I was insecure about my skin, and I love to cake on the MAC Pro Longwear because it's so high coverage and foolproof. You just completely cover your base with MAC Pro Longwear and you'll be concealed. So yeah, the Matte Pro Longwear foundation is pretty good too, but I wanted to mention the concealer especially because I like that it comes in a pump bottle as well, which means it's very hygienic. A lot of concealers come with a doe foot applicator or a sponge tip applicator, and I do think that that can accumulate, you know, bacteria. I do really appreciate how the Matte Pro Longwear comes in a pump bottle because I feel like it's more hygienic. Is it the most convenient in terms of getting out the exact amount of product that you're looking for? I don't necessarily know because, you know, each time you pump it out, you are pumping out a certain amount of product, whereas if you have it on a doe foot applicator, you can always put the rest of the product back into the tube, but I do think it is more hygienic this way, so I do think that is a pro. The other concealer that I wanted to mention, of course, is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. That concealer comes with so much product in that tube. I think it's definitely one of the higher end concealers that's definitely more worth it in terms of bang for buck. You're getting so much product. That tube has so much product in it. It's almost the size of a foundation. And if you probably did the math, like, you know, how much dollars you're spending per mil, it'd probably be comparable to a drugstore foundation because, I mean, a drugstore concealer, because there is just so much product in that concealer. I have considered picking that up before so many times because it does have a very, I don't want to say gel, but like a satin, it melts into the skin nicely while giving a decent amount of coverage, and it is just such a good bang for buck in terms of a high-end concealer. And the last concealer I wanted to give a mention to is not one that is like my holy grail, but I thought I'd chuck it in here because I do think it is, you know, popular for a reason, and that is the Tarte Shape Tape. I've only ever tried this out in store. I do feel like it's a little bit higher coverage for myself and my needs personally. You know, I am like a young person. I don't have like huge dark circles or anything. That's not something I personally struggle with, but I know that for some people with like a lot of hyperpigmentation on the face, or if you have like more of an issue with dark circles, I do know that the Tarte Shape Tape does provide that kind of intense coverage. The only thing for me is I did feel a little cakey when I was wearing the Tarte Shape Tape. Like I did feel like it was a little bit intense. But you know, if you powdered it up and you were going to like a cheer comp or to the club, that's probably where I'd wear the Tarte Shape Tape. Like it does give that full beat kind of vibe, and I am into that. But it's not my preference. I'm more into like a more naturally kind of vibing concealer generally. If you want a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape from the drugstore, I do believe that the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear kind of concealer, the one that I talked about in my drugstore version of this video, I do think that that is supposed to be a dupe. So maybe check that out if you're interested in a really full beat, high coverage kind of concealer that's supposed to, you know, do the extra mile. Okay, I'm going to go talk into some powder now. I don't have a huge amount of powder favorites in the high-end category just because, as I mentioned before, I go through so much product, it would just not be worth it for me to constantly repurchase high-end powders. But I do have two favorites to give a shout out to. The first one is the NARS loose powder. I used to have this in the shade Crystal, and I did feel like it was so finely milled. There was something beautiful about that powder, and like the texture of it was so soft. It was a very fine, sheer but mattifying powder. I think the shade was called Crystal or Diamond or something, and I did get that vibe from the powder because it did feel very luxurious. So that was like a loose powder from NARS. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the finishing powders from Hourglass as well. I'm not the best at using finishing powders just because I am typically one for more of like a matte look under the eye there. But the Hourglass finishing powders are very gorgeous. They give a very beautiful look to the skin, and I wanted to give them a shout out because they also have a great, I don't know, there's like a unique luminosity that they give to the skin that I think is special. So shout out to the Hourglass finishing powders as well in the ambient lighting kind of ranges. Those are super popular, and I think they're popular for a reason. Okay, into some products that I actually have sitting on my lap. I do have like physical products with me, but I just haven't you know, got all the ones that I want to mention. The first one, I'm going to go into the bronzer category now, and I'm going to mention first the MAC Gimme Sun. This is so popular. I remember hearing Desi Perkins talk about this here on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I need it. I have used this so much. This used to be a huge dome, and it's almost flat because this is such a good shade. I'm not wearing it on my face today. Unfortunately, I'm wearing none of these products on my face today, but this is so good for a reason. It's so perfect. It's just a really good warm tone shade. Like it's very much on the orangier tone side. It's not orange on the skin, but like it's more on that leaning warm tone side. If you're more of a cool tone cool tone bronzer kind of person, or if you have a lighter skin tone, this might pull too orange on you. But on my skin tone, I think this is really gorgeous, really buildable, really smooth on the skin, quite a natural finish. Because it is in that like, you know, mineralized skin and finish formula. I'm trying to like, it's got that like luminosity to it, but without being like shimmery on the skin. Very beautiful product, definitely recommend. I have a cream product to mention. This is the Hoola Cookie Contour Stick. I actually probably prefer this more than the original Hoola Contour Powder. I just think this has a really nice tone. It's a little bit more of a warmer tone in comparison to the shade of the actual powder Hoola. And I think it's really a nice blending contour cream kind of product. It's in this really gorgeous kind of golden packaging. That's all I have left. Oh, that's a tragedy. I really like this product. I use it all the time. Great to layer with other bronzers, or just to wear by itself, or just if you put on a little bit of foundation, chuck some of this on and you feel like sculpted and not so like white out matte. Really enjoy this, you know, quickie contour stick. Definitely probably one of my favorite contour sticks I've ever tried, just because the formula is so blendable, creamy, and really melts into the skin very nicely. The last bronzer in this category I have to talk about is not with me because I have Panda all the way, and that is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Bronzer. It is popular for a reason, and it works really well. I originally had just the matte Soleil kind of shade, you know, the original milk chocolate. Smelt divine. The milk chocolate shade was a pretty good match for my skin tone, but they do have darker and lighter shades, I believe, and just a gorgeous bronzer. I probably would repurchase it in the future, and that's saying a lot for me, because for me to repurchase the product, it means I really love it because I have so much that I want to try. But yeah, just definitely a gorgeous product. I don't have it at the moment because I'm working my way through, you know, some other products that I have in my collection. But I definitely really want to give a shout out to the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Bronzer. It's a favorite. It's tried and true. I love it so much, and I wish it was in my collection still, but unfortunately I used it up. I do also want to give a mention at these two. I love these guys so much that I kind of hold off using on them sometimes and reach for my drugstore ones instead, because these are kind of pricier, and I don't want to like go through them as quickly. But these products are so beautiful, and like I feel sad when it's like, you know, the dome is getting kind of flat and I've used up so much of this bronzer, or like there's only like that much left in the stick, because these products are so nice. I feel a bit sad when I use them up. But I do, you know, like to invest in like high-end makeup. It is fun. Okay, I have some blush to talk about as well. First of all, I would like to talk about the NARS Orgasm blush. Now, this is a very popular blush. Everyone knows the NARS Orgasm. I feel like in the beauty community, it is one of those products that everyone has heard of here on YouTube. I believe in the last 10 years, this is like the best-selling blush or something. I don't know. I heard some crazy statistic about it. Don't quote me on the one that I just said, but it's just a crazy best-selling shade because it's so flattering on so many different skin tones. It is a perfect peachy corally kind of shade with gold reflex through it. This is a newer one that I haven't dug into yet, but I think it's a gorgeous tone, really beautiful. This is my blush preference. Like when I'm looking for a blush, typically this is the kind of shade genre that I'm looking for, and just a stunning, stunning blush. Isn't my favorite formula ever? Probably not, but it's not my least favorite formula ever. I do think that the shade is just so perfect, and it's not a bad formula at all. I do have other formulas that I do prefer though in blush, and I'm going to talk about them now. My favorite blush brand, I decided to chuck in like 2 blushes and then a blush brand. The blush brand that I wanted to mention is Benefit. I have so many blushes from Benefit and I love them all. So I want to talk about their 3 kind of, I categorize them into 3 kind of formulas. The first one I want to talk about, of course, is their powder formula. My favorite powder blush from Benefit is the California blush because it is perfect. It is literally the most stunning shade, very similar to that Orgasm kind of shade because, you know, that is my shade genre. That is the kind of blush tones that I'm going for. This has the most divine peach Bellini kind of scent. Like this smells to me like a peach Bellini. Very creamy, soft formula in there. Great pigmentation, great shades. Like they have like a wide range of shades. This is just one that I prefer, but they have other shades as well, of course. And I just love these blushes so much. Smells divine. I definitely hold off on using the California because I'm trying to use up some other blushes first, but if I only had this blush in my collection, I'd probably be happy. This is the kind of blush that you can use every day. Some other blushes that I have from Benefit that I also love. I'll talk about the Benetint. I feel like this is a cult classic product. Everyone knows about the Benetint. It kind of has like a slight rosy scent, which I think is very pleasant. I have done a full face previously of just Benetint on my channel before. If you'd like to see this on the eyes and face, you can go check that out. I only have that much left, which is sad. It's kind of like this nail polish kind of bottle, and it has like that little brush tip down there, and you just kind of pop it wherever. You can use this as a cheek product. It's a tint, so you can also stain the lips with this if you want. Just a really gorgeous tone. They do have other shades in this like formula. They have the Posy tint, the Lolly tint, you know, the Cha Cha tint, but I do think the Benny tint is the supreme superior tint shade for a reason. I've tried some of the other shades and I go back to this one because this one is superior in my opinion. Would I repurchase it? Probably. I don't know, it's really good. I do have some other like blushes that I'm trying to get through at the moment. This is really that good. The last blush that I want to mention from Benefit, sorry, I have like an itchy nose, so I'm just going to scratch it while talking. The last blush that I want to talk about from Benefit is the Fine 1-1. Looks like this. I don't know if they still make this anymore, but as I mentioned with the Cookie Contour Stick, Benefit has a really beautiful cream product formula. This one is a really fun product because it's got that corally kind of orangey shade. It's got that pinky kind of shade, and then it's got that white highlight shade at the end, which is kind of similar to the What's Up kind of shade. This is a beautiful product. You just kind of sweep it up the cheek like that, and it gives you the perfect amount of like a sunburn, glowing from within, summery glow. It's perfect. I love it. I'm going to be sad when it's gone. I hope they still make this. It's really beautiful. You can also use this on the lips as well, but I typically use this as a cheek product just because, I don't know, it's just so beautiful. This melts into the skin so nicely. Like the Benefit cheek product formula for cream, it's just so creamy, but it sits on the skin without looking thick and creamy, you know, it just melts very nicely and looks very skin-like. I really like the way the finish is on the skin. It's not too wet, but it's not too matte, if that makes sense. It's just the perfect amount of sheen, very like satin skin-like, dewy, rosy petals, satin, I don't know, I'm trying to give you keywords, but like that's the vibes. The last blush I want to mention, I've actually left over there, which is really annoying, but I'll stick in a picture anyway. This is the Flower Child shade from Becca Cosmetics. Unfortunately, Becca Cosmetics is going out of business or closing down or whatever this month, which is a tragedy because I love so many products from Becca. But yes, the Flower Child blush is my favorite out of all the Becca shades. I've panned and used up an entire one previously, and so this is my second one that I've repurchased. Yep, it's a repurchase product. That means it's legit. And it's just like a great shade. It's a perfect shade. I think I found out about this shade from, I don't know how to say her name, but her name's like Kalel here on YouTube. And she mentioned ages ago that it was one of her favorite blushes and it gave like a really healthy looking glow. And I totally agree. It's a very like fresh, healthy looking kind of blush shade, especially on my skin tone. It suits my skin tone really well. Becca did have a load of other shades, but I don't know how accessible they're going to be now that they're closing down. I did see, actually, I'll talk about this now. I did see that Becca is now moving some of their like best-selling products or like cult favorite products to Smashbox now, which I think is, you know, a smart business move, but it is very sad that Becca is leaving and Smashbox is like taking the best of it with them. Because, you know, Becca was an Australian brand and now they're gone. So yeah, I miss you, Becca. I love you, Becca, and I'll probably talk about you in the highlight section of this video. Let's get into that. So yeah, in the highlight section, I wanted to give a shout out to Becca. Did I chuck in any Becca highlights with me? Yeah, this is one of the Becca highlights that I have. I have a couple that I haven't opened yet either because I'm not up to using them. This one was a gift from a friend in the shade Ocean Glow and it is stunning. I think that Becca has one of the most superior highlight kind of formulas ever because their highlight formulas are so, I don't want to say undetectable on the skin because they definitely give like a glow and like when you do your tilting of the head you can definitely see it and stuff, but like it's such a buildable formula, a seamless formula. It's a very high-end luxurious vibes, and obviously the Champagne Pop shade is my favorite because I feel like it's in that like champagne-y kind of category that I typically reach for in a highlight. But yeah, Becca highlights forever. They are moving this formula to Smashbox, so yay. If you still want to be able to purchase Becca highlights, go to Smashbox because for some reason Becca and Smashbox are now one. I don't understand. Unfortunately, I heard that the blushes and the bronzers won't be moving to Smashbox, and that made me sad because I really liked those. Anyway, the next in the highlight category for my top 3, which I cheated on because I made it a top 4. Anyway, the next one I wanted to mention is MAC. I'm trying to like find it in this little bag underneath me. MAC highlights from MAC are stunning. This is a Extra Dimension skin finish in the shade Oh Darling. I've almost totally panned my Extra Dimension skin finish in the shade Whisper of Guilt, and you've seen that so many times on my channel, so I thought I'd mention Oh Darling instead. Very similar kind of shade again with that champagne-y goldy kind of tone that I'm really into, and just a really stunning blinding kind of formula. You can sheer it out if you would like a more like subtle glow, but you can really build this formula up to be like an intergalactic, beautiful, glistening, wet sheen. Stunning formula. Definitely one of my favorite products from MAC, and they have really good shades. I like Oh Darling, I like Whisper of Guilt. Those are probably my top 2. They're the ones I've had, but I do know that they have some other shades if you're not into that golden kind of shade. I know that some of my friends with lighter skin tones prefer a more icy highlight, and they have some really nice icier shades, and if you have a darker skin tone, they also have ones that are more of a bronzier tone as well. So I feel like a golden works for most people though. I don't know. Gold's just my preference, so I'm biased. Another highlight formula that I wanted to give a shout out to is Fenty Beauty, particularly the shade Hustler Baby, but I don't have that with me because I panned the whole thing, so I just have Trophy Wife to show you instead today. Here's Trophy Wife. It's their famous gold shade. Stunning. Everyone knows Trophy Wife. I feel like it's one of Fenty Beauty's iconic products because it is that beautiful golden shade. The Kilowatt Foil formula from Fenty Beauty, which is the one for their highlights, is just very creamy and luxurious, and I love it. My shade Hustler Baby that I panned previously was like a mini, and unfortunately they only make that in full size as a split pan with another highlight that I'm not as into because I like the more blinding highlight out of those two duos, and I probably won't use up the more like subtle highlight on the other side of the duo, so probably not gonna get Hustler Baby until they release that as a full size. Fenty, please release Hustler Baby as a full size like this because I need it. The other shade I have to show you guys is Metal Moon. I actually got this on discount. Oh, I'm having trouble opening it. But yeah, again, I love the Fenty packaging. Stunning. This is Metal Moon. It doesn't really come up as much on camera. Like it could almost pass off as like a translucent white kind of shade. But this actually is like a beautiful light moonlit glow on the skin. It's very stunning and would definitely suit wide range of skin tones from very light to very dark. It's a very versatile product, this one. This one is a little bit more difficult because it is straight up gold. But you know, I think it's beautiful and iconic. So love my Fenty Kilowatt Foil highlighters. I don't really like the, I think it's called the Diamond Bomb highlighters. You know, the ones in the really stunning packaging. I actually think the Diamond Bomb formula has a more beautiful packaging, but I don't like the formula as much. I prefer this formula. I think it's more finely milled. The diamondy one, it has a more chunky, glittery formula, which I know is some people's preference, and some people love and swear by that formula. I just feel like it's too like glittery on the cheek for me. It doesn't like blend in as seamlessly and look the way I want it to. Not saying it's chunky on the face, but it has like, you can see the glitter on the face, and I'm not into that. I'm more into a sheen rather than a glitter. Shimmer over glitter, in my preference. If you want a glitter, I would definitely go for those Fenty ones, because the packaging on those is superior. It's so stunning. And they have really cute shades as well. Anyway, the last highlight formula I have to talk about, because I was cheating and chose 4 instead of 3, is Dose of Colors. I love Dose of Colors highlighters so much. Creamy, beautiful, blending, buildable, stunning. Oops, I almost dropped my paper. Anyway, I have 2 to show you today. This first one is from the I Love Sarah collection, and this is in the shade Soulmate. As you can see, or maybe you can't, there's a huge dip in this product. Like, I have used this so much. I don't want to swatch it because then I'll get swatching everything and then I'll be here forever. But this is very beautiful. It's kind of a little bit of a darker highlight on my skin tone, so I do wear this a little bit more in summer, I would say. I do wear this in winter too, though. It's not too dark for me. But I wouldn't get this if you're a lighter skin tone than me, because it might get a little bit more difficult. But it's a very beautiful shade. I love this highlight so much. And of course, my favorite highlight probably of all time is the Desi X Katy collection they did with Dose of Colors in the shade Fuego. Now mine has a little plastic piece over the top because I'm nuts and I keep plastic packaging over the top of my highlights, but Fuego is the most perfect shade ever. It makes your skin look like it's wet, glowing gold from within, and it is the most superior highlight to ever exist. Get your hands on it if you can. Unfortunately, it was a limited edition product, so I will not be sharing mine with you. Sorry, I can't share. It's too nice and I can't share. But yeah, if you have a dupe for this, let me know in the comments down below. It's again in that goldy kind of champagne-y tone that I'm really into. So there are like shade dupes, but this formula is so creamy and blendable and melts into the skin, and it makes your skin look so smooth. It's a very smoothing highlight. You know, sometimes you put on a highlight and it kind of accentuates texture, makes your skin on your cheeks look a little not so great. This does not do that. This is beautiful. Where's my... I just remembered I forgot to use setting spray on my face today, and then I was like, where's my setting spray? I forgot to bring my setting spray over to do my makeup with, that's why. How annoying. Anyway, yeah, superior highlight, favorite high-end formula from Dose of Colors. What is next to talk about? Oh, I wanted to mention some liquid highlights as well. I'll start off with the one that I have. This, because I like highlights so much, I couldn't just only show you my favorite powder highlights. So I made a separate top 3 for liquid. Now the first one in the top 3 for liquid goes to, of course, Benefit again. I love Benefit's cheek product formulas. I've heard really good things about the shade Cookie as well in their powder cheek highlight formula, but I have not got that. I have enough highlights in my collection that I'm working through right now. I don't know, maybe one day I'll try Cookie, but at the moment I'm enjoying High Beam, which is in their liquid formula. This comes again in that similar kind of nail polishy kind of applicator packaging, and I really like this. It melts really nicely into the skin. You can kind of build it up, but it doesn't get ever too intense, so that you never kind of have a blinding highlight with this. This is more of a satiny sheen, a little bit more comparable to, like, I want to say like the strobe cream end of things, but it is more intense than strobe cream. Strobe cream, you can kind of blend it out to like a sheer nothing. This doesn't become a sheer nothing. This is a really beautiful finish on the skin though. A very unique, just, I want to say it looks like your skin is tacky, but it's not. It doesn't look wet or anything. I don't know, it's just stunning. A unique formula in my opinion. I don't know, I feel like this has been out for so long that it's underrated now. And it shouldn't be, because this is a classic. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. It says on the back, it's a satiny pink complexion highlighter. I think you should go swatch this in store. I used to have the darker version of this, Sunbeam, and I used up the whole thing. It was beautiful. I loved it, especially in the summertime. It's just like a golden, summery, golden, beautiful shade. Stunning. I feel like this is the more best-selling shade though, just because I feel like this works for a like greater range of skin tones. Because it is just like an opalescent kind of glow, whereas the golden one can be a little bit dark on lighter skin tones. But stunning. Okay, what else do I want to talk about from the liquid category? Oh yes, the Becca highlights are so beautiful. Oh, these are going to be discontinued now. It's so sad. But the Becca liquid highlights, particularly the champagne pop one, was so stunning. They kind of reminded me of an amped up version of the strobe cream. They weren't as sheer as the strobe cream. They had a little bit more something to them, but they were in that similar kind of vibe in that they kind of sheared out and they weren't like a stripe on the face. Very beautiful formula, very creamy, very soft, easy to blend. And I will be missing them dearly. And the last liquid formula from the high-end category that I wanted to give a shout out to today is one that was really popping a couple of years back, especially here on YouTube, and I feel like no one talks about them anymore, but it's the Cover FX drops. Those highlighter drops were intense. They had a great shade range, loads of different undertones. They had pinky ones, bluey ones even, golden ones, icy ones, and those were metallic. Those I used to love wearing to like clubs or to parties because I felt like it was like a metal streak on your face. When I wore them, I felt like it was kind of similar to with the Dose of Colors ones where it was very smoothing on the skin. I felt like plastic in the best way when I wore those. I just felt like I was like a shimmery plastic metallic robot in the nice way. And I loved it. So shout out to CoverFX drops because they are amazing. I do think too much product comes in those little bottles though, because those bottles, one, I think the drops should come in a pump formula instead because, I don't know, I feel like it's not the most hygienic. I understand that you're dropping it, but what if you touch the little applicator on your hand and you're, oh, now my dropper is going back from my hand into the bottom of the bottle. I don't know, not the most hygienic in my opinion. I would have liked a pump more. I don't know. And then also the thing is, there's so much product in that bottle, and I feel like you can't possibly go through such an intense and pigmented and blinding highlight before the bottle goes off. It's quite a large bottle. It's like that, and there's a lot of product in there, and it's very intense. Like you only need like a little touch and you're blinding. So I don't know if it's the most practical bottle because you're getting so much product for, you know, how long are you really going to use this liquid highlight anyway? You know, liquids kind of go off. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Those are all of the face products I have to talk about, and I'm literally already 30 minutes into recording. Horrendous. I'm going to stop myself now. I'm going to have to make eyes and lips a part 2. So if you'd like to hear my high-end favorites in the eyes and lips category, I have so many favorites, and they are, all the rest of them are in that bag. Pretty much the rest of the high-end favorites, I do have the physical products with me. So if you'd like to see more physical products in hand, watch part 2 because I'll be uploading it straight after this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations for any high-end face products, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you also like any of the things that I mentioned today, let me know. Subscribe to see more content from me if you would like to. If you don't want to see more content from me, that's okay. Thank you so much for watching up to this point anyway. I'm trying to think of anything else to say. If you like the makeup I'm wearing on my face right now, I have an entire tutorial up on this channel already. It should be the video uploaded before this one. And I used the Balms Manizer Sisters Trio to do this look, eyes, lips, face. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in part 2 if you want to watch it. I'll see you there. Peace!